All right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, and I'm here once again with my cat Dorothy, and through the miracle of computer phone, I'm joined by Dave DeFore. Dave, our All-Star break is over. It's a snow day here in Nashville. How are you doing? How have you taken this break from the regular season?
I'm great. Took the opportunity to not turn on my television for a few days. Yeah, it was great.
You didn't. You didn't go.
Charlotte.
You didn't go to the All-Star weekend. No. Oh, by the way,
no.
I'm not going to complain at all. So the league is back on Wednesday with one game. Mark Williams against the Lakers. Yeah. Dalton Connect, Mark Williams, they held him out after the trade initially, the Hornets did. Oh, he's probable for tonight. We're going to see some bad blood. This is going to be great. Is LeBron going to play?
That's the question, right?
Is LeBron too sore to play?
This ankle thing just kind of, he's been dealing with a foot and ankle thing. I don't want to give him a hard time. LeBron usually plays in the All-Star game.
Yeah. So today's episode, it is a snow day in Nashville, so I have to be a little bit more abbreviated because listen, I have a New Year's resolution I'm still holding up. Don't podcast when it interferes with time with my kids. So it turns out now they're home from school, so we'll do a little bit of a briefer show, but we have to talk about the All-Star break. There's also some things that happened before the All-Star break. And then, of course, I want to look ahead to the last third of the season. We might have to skip some breakfasts and some apologies. However,
everybody already knows what I had anyway. Dave
had oatmeal. Maybe with some pumpkin in there. Okay, fine. I had fruits and berries cut up inside some plain yogurt. There's our breakfasts. You monsters. LeBron didn't play in the All-Star game. There was some criticism that I saw lobbed at him. One, I have no issue whatsoever. Honestly, I kind of like it. I know there are the Norm Powell, DeMontis Sabonis, Ja Morant fans who were like I think Ja Morant was next up based on the formula of the combined votes of media, players, fans. Like that's why Kyrie got to go. Right. As the replacement. I think, unless I'm mistaken, Ja was next up, but like an hour or 2 hours before the All-Star game, LeBron's like, yeah, I'm not going to play tonight. And people were like, you could have let us know. You could have let somebody else in. No one else needed in. We already had two replacements, 26 guys already made the All-Star game. We're fine. Also, Anthony Edwards didn't play. Could have been another. We don't need more players. We already did it. Also, Dave, when were these extra players going to play?
Right.
There's 30 minutes of basketball.
They could have been they could have done the Mr. Beast thing.
They did exactly. They divided 30 minutes of game time between 30 players as it was. So you don't add more now. We don't add more. But anyways, I do think maybe if LeBron, do they do an injury report for the All-Star game? Like if LeBron had been questionable, I don't think anyone was upset. If Anthony Edwards was questionable.
Well, wait, let me ask you, Keith.
For the All-Star tournament,
could you gamble on the All-Star tournament? Because that will tell you right then if there was an injury report, right?
Well, you can. So it seems like there would have been an injury report. Anyways,
that's an insane thing to gamble on.
I want to go positive because there were a lot of really good things, and it's hard to not jump on the bandwagon of just yelling about things. And I am going to yell about a couple of things. Maybe they're not the things you might expect, listeners. There were things where I'm still like, why in the world? But there actually was some really good stuff about this All-Star weekend. So let's go with our steak and eggs best thing from NBA All-Star weekend. Dave, what did you like the most about the All-Star weekend?
When they were playing the games, they were fun. That first basketball game on Sunday was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. And then at the end of the last game, it started to feel like an All-Star game. As soon as Steph Curry hit that half-court shot, we were back on.
There was good competitive basketball until the TNT self-congratulatory
I thought we were keeping it positive.
I'm sorry, but like the basketball was good.
Fun.
My guy, Jaren Jackson Jr., was out there contesting shots. He was
Yeah.
blocking shots. He was trying hard. You had both
Kyrie
teams.
Irving was playing defense the whole, he was trying hard the whole time.
Also, Kyrie wanted to cook Wemby, and that's what the All-Star game is for. And we got it. Like, we saw that stuff going on. Kyrie was playing defense. Even the Rising Stars team against is it Team Chuck? Against the Steph Curry. That game was close and competitive, and there was a little bit of a scare put into the All-Stars, and like Dalton Connect's out there doing things. So yes, Dave, the players got the message.
Yeah.
Apparently they were begging with the players. There was a meeting to please take this game seriously, and they did take the game seriously. Even the Rising Stars thing on Friday night, the players took it seriously. They were trying. They were competing. Yeah. So we actually got good basketball. So yeah,
it was cool. Yeah,
I agree.
It wasn't their fault.
It wasn't their fault. Also, here's a weird thing. I liked the jerseys. I thought the jerseys look great.
The court is a hard one.
No, we're not doing the court yet. That's
okay. All right.
That's screaming worst thing.
It makes the jersey.
Does Adam Silver have a vision deficiency, like a color deficiency of like?
I just honestly, man, I think Adam Silver is like too busy looking at Excel spreadsheets and other things to bother with what the aesthetics of basketball look like.
Would it kill him to have a basketball court that looks like one of the just universally accepted shades of brown?
Yeah,
like just shades of wood. Like, that's a basketball court.
It'd be cheaper.
If it isn't Adam Silver saying, hey, could we make this court more blue? Could we make this more garish? Could we make people want to adjust their television so the game is easier to watch? If it's not him pushing it, who is? Is there someone out there saying, man, we got to have more blue courts? Also, by the way, the blue court did not match the blue of either jersey. There were two sets of blue jerseys. They weren't the color of the blue of the court. The blue on the court was like Warriors-ish blue with the yellow paint. Ugh. All right. Did we exhaust the things I liked about the good things?
The
3-point contest was good. They struggled, but it was good. I mean, it's hard to mess that up.
Dunk contest was it was interesting. I think Stephen Castle actually had some nice dunks. But we're just in a post-dunk society. I think, Mac McClung jumping over a car was awesome.
McClung's first dunk was outrageous. It was so good. And also, one of the many reasons it was so good is because, like a stunt man, he put his body in peril. He clipped the car coming down. He stumbled onto the court. It was dangerous, which also demonstrates maybe why Mike McClung shouldn't be allowed in the dunk contest, because a normal NBA player, no one should be doing this. McClung shouldn't have been doing this. It was too dangerous.
It's like ECW with pro wrestling, right?
Like, yeah, it was pro wrestling.
It's the gimmicks are out of control.
Yeah.
And honestly, look, people are breaking out the Phantom Cam footage on Mac McClung and saying when he's jumping over people, he's getting a little bit of a push at the top.
Oh, of course.
Look, I'll just say this, guys. If we're doing Phantom Cam on the dunk contest and we're not just going ooh and ah, we've lost the plot. Like, so let's end the dunk contest. Point. It's over.
There are
dunks aren't that special anymore, Keith.
I mean, maybe.
Not like that. We've got pro dunkers.
We do have
people who make a living dunking at basketball games.
I thought McClung's first dunk was so special. And also McClung, he's such a showman. And like, I'm watching this with my kids, which is great. Yeah. This is like, apparently it's the way you're supposed to do it. And by the way, as we maybe criticize some parts of All-Star Weekend, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who are like, hey, listen, loser. It's not for the 40-year-old hardcore NBA fan. It's for children.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, I have a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, and they have a lot of feedback. They had a lot of questions. Very, very simple things. How do you talk to your kids when your kids say, hey, who won the All-Star game? And you're like, I
think it was Team Shaq.
Yeah, I think it was the OGs.
No idea.
The OG beat the young star. Basketball Reference doesn't even know what to put in like the name of the team, because the NBA is calling it the OGs. The other one's calling it Team Chuck. Like, it's... But like, some very simple things. Hey, is this the first quarter? No, son, I'm sorry. They're playing to 40. like very simple childlike questions where, but anyways, but they loved the dunk contest. It was great.
Yeah.
And that part's entertaining. That's part's super fun, but he's a showman. And I was explaining to them, like, they were upset by Modest Buzelis' first attempt. They were upset. The children were upset. I assume Bulls fans were too. His second dunk, it was good, but he had the I'm sorry face. When he finished it, he was like, whop, whop. Like that was his facial expression. And I paused it and I'm like, listen, I work in theater and stuff every night, and I'm like, it's all about the presentation. You can't apologize with your face. You have to stick the landing. Also,
Pagliacci.
You like Mac McClung is a showman. He finishes the dunks. Also, he's amazing at it, like having the final little flair when he throws the ball in. But then when he gets on the ground, you have to sell it to the audience that you did it. You also have to have the right, what do you call them? These assistants, these dunk coaches.
Yeah.
Is it not a conflict of interest to have the same dunk coach for multiple people? It's like talk show hosts all having the same agent competing for the same spot. It seems,
I think it's more like if you think about like an Olympic team, gymnasts, like they have the team but then they have the individual all around, and they have, they share a coach, but they're competing with each other. I think, dunk contests nowadays, everybody's very buddy.
No, but like, what if
Back
in the Olympics,
Keith.
What if in the Olympics it was like Romania, China, USA, France, all had the same gymnastic coach? That feels like maybe I don't know.
I don't know. It depends. What if it's a great coach, right?
So one of the guys. So all right, there were two. I'm gonna call them bros. There were two bros in like leisure wear, helping out with the dunk contest.
The clothes are big again, Keith. I don't know if you realize that.
So the joggers and backwards hat guy was too cool for school. And I felt it detracted from the dunks. He's like throwing things to Steph Castle, and his passes aren't totally accurate. And it's like, all right,
Beard's a little too lined up.
It's a little too not right, but he's not the showman. There was the other guy, maybe the slightly stockier, who had coordinated things with Mac McClung, that when the McClung dunk went in, he's doing his celebration to punctuate the dunk. And he's also like yelling, replay, go look at the replay. This is why I got distracted. So you were saying how like we're going to the phantom cam?
No. So what you're saying is they weren't giving the same amount of ensemble cast vibes for the rest of the guys that they were given for Mac McClung. Was Mac McClung's score being artificially inflated? This is sort of like when the Minnesota Vikings, the one guy does the dance, right? Mm-hmm. But then when they have the group dance, that's when you see it on SportsCenter. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah, I do. I hadn't actually thought of this angle. That isn't where I was going, but maybe you're right. Maybe that conflict of interest, right? The hype celebrations for the McClung dunks, they were maybe more on point. Maybe it's easier when your guy McClung is going to make his first dunk every time.
That's their coworker, because he's not an NBA player. He's a professional dunker.
But I want to go back to the Phantom Cam. So there are some dunks where I don't know how I feel about this. The Mac McClung tap it on the rim, where when you do the dunk initially, you're like, oh, okay. For Mac McClung, that was not take your breath away moment. But then they're like, look at the replay. And then you're like, oh, in the replay, it's amazing. This goes back to the Gerald Green blowing out the cupcake, the candle on the cupcake, where it's like you saw the dunk, you're like, oh. Then you see the replay, you're like, oh, it's better on replay. Now there's some that take your breath away in the moment, and then the replay makes it look a little bit worse. Right. And that was the Stephen Castle dunk, the one he finally completed on his 8th try when the guy finally made the layup the right way. But Stephen Castle completed this breathtaking dunk where he catches the ball out of the rim, then goes between his leg. It was incredible.
East Bay Funk, yeah.
It was incredible. But then you see on the replay, his foot's on the ground when he catches the ball. So he's still touching the ground,
right? Where
it's like that was a lot of show. It's also the Ja Morant, like, how did Ja Morant hang in the air for so long? Well, he didn't. He landed. It's like in slow-mo, that's obviously a travel. We didn't see it in real time. So I felt like the Stephen Castle, the slow-mo took away some. Also, going back to what you said, Stephen Castle's dunks were incredible. Stephen Castle left a lot of meat on the bone with his dunks.
Right.
He was up in the air for longer. And it's like, man, you could do another half twist. You could do that Mac McClung patented, just hold the ball for 1 second longer. Just
Hmm.
pause, do the pause in the air. I felt like with a little more, I don't know, equitable coaching. If he had the
Yeah.
same coaching tips that McClung got, maybe Stephen Castle wins this dunk
I wish
contest.
Lonnie Walker would have been in this dunk contest, by the way.
Welcome back, Lonnie Walker.
He is one of the more athletic leapers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And he was on an NBA team. How about that? Right before the All, we could have gotten him in there.
So
Anyway,
I thought the dunk contest was
Mac
pretty
is
good,
good though, by the way.
except for like Andre Jackson catastrophe. How are you so bad? Modest Buzelis, we're watching that first dunk attempt, and you're like, there's no way this is gonna happen. I need to know how many times out of 10 when he's alone in a gym, he even pulls that off. Because there's no way it's more than 50%. Like that seemed like an impossible thing he was trying, and he didn't get close to doing it. The 3-point contest was fun, relatively.
Sure.
I felt like maybe the
Can I ask you a
basketballs were a
question?
little bit off.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
But just before you get to the actual contest, how do you have a 3-point contest in the Bay and not have like Steph and Clay?
I don't understand anything the NBA did in a lot of avenues. And frankly, possibly the biggest is just not having Steph Curry there. And I know there's some talk about, well, they were trying to work out Steph and Caitlin Clark, who would have been the biggest star there. Like,
Yeah.
I understand. Like, are you going to pay her an appearance fee? Like,
There were people who were mad that she said no, and I just thought to myself, "Wow, what a loser!"
Well,
Not
I mean,
her.
like literally,
The NBA having to beg Caitlin Clark to come is
yeah.
kind of a sign to me that.
But I mean, if I'm Caitlin Clark and if I'm her representation,
Yeah,
you're like, oh, well, how much? Like $1 million? Are NBA players going to be cool with paying, several million for this appear? I mean, it would have been a huge riveting event as it was. It was not a huge riveting event. I will say, as much as I personally, old man, does not like the starry money ball, I don't like counting some worth 3. Yeah. That's all my kids cared about. They were beyond excited when someone finally made the starry, when Buddy Hield knocked down a couple starry money balls or whatever they're called. They were so excited. That part definitely translated for kids. Also, they like the skills competition.
Competition is always good.
It's a relay. The funniest part about this, watching this with children, is how poorly actual NBA talent translates in the skills competition. Like, all right, just put yourself in the eyes of children. 10-year-old, 7-year-old, they know some things about basketball. They've each played recreationally basketball. They're watching Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley, and they're like, these guys can't dribble. What's wrong with them? Like they were like, these guys are horrible. And like Donovan Mitchell was stumbling and traveling. And my kids are like, what's a travel? I'm like, yeah, you can travel in the skills competition. Evan Mobley looked like he never shot a basketball before on his first run. They're missing passes. And I'm trying to tell, like, again, I'm the quote unquote expert. I'm dad who knows about everything. Yeah. And I'm like, actually, children, those are the best players participating in the skills, and then Moses Moody was incredible. Moses Moody makes every shot, and they're like, this guy's amazing. They're all yelling.
He plays 8 minutes a game.
The funniest takeaway, I'm like, that's the worst player here. That's the worst player you'll see all night. No, the funniest thing was like the Spurs cheating thing, where that was the first one we saw. So they didn't know, the kids didn't know it was happening. They didn't care.
Right.
But my 7-year-old, when we watched the dunk, so we had to watch the dunk contest the next morning because it was very late. When they watched it the next morning, when Stephen Castle was the first one to dunk, based on the stuff they saw from Chris Paul and Wembanyama, my 7-year-old goes, oh, that's a Spur. He's probably going to cheat when Stephen Castle comes out for the dunk. I was so excited.
That's amazing.
It was my Ruth Conda moment. It really was.
Well, so let me tell you.
Yeah.
So because like I actually have a thought on this. Number one, look, Wemby is very obsessed with everyone finding him clever, and I find that's obnoxious.
Okay.
I'm just out on that, right? Like the whole chess thing, chess guys are their own thing.
Yeah.
And because if you're into games and you want a game of strategy, you're probably playing Go, not chess. Just going to throw that out there to everyone.
Yeah.
But I actually, while I'd say, hey, man, spirit of the game, whatever, it was funny to try it one time, right?
Yeah.
This was a funny thing to do. What drives me nuts is that the NBA didn't have any fun with it. they treated it too seriously,
Oh,
and like wouldn't let him interview.
Yeah, the like, guy refusing Allie LaForce from talking to Chris Paul.
And I'll give Wemby credit because Wemby did find it funny, which it was. And when he said, "Well, they didn't boo me; they booed Chris."
Yeah,
because he knew Chris Paul was getting blamed for this,
but they did not. So Chris Paul did not find it funny because you could tell that Chris Paul was arguing. And they literally had that one security guard / rules enforcer like pull out the sheet and be like, here's what they actually written. I don't know. Can the skills competition, can the Spurs file a formal protest? Let's get a protest.
Can they hire Daryl first?
They really need to
get him down there.
All of those things, I think they were entertaining enough. Not where we have to nitpick. I don't like saving the dunk contest.
Draymond knocking over the rack of balls was perfect.
Oh, it was great. Draymond being horrible was so funny.
Yeah. There was some good stuff. Look, again, man, when the league just lets the players go out and have fun, that's when we have fun with them. And so every time they did it during the All-Star weekend, I had a good time.
Yeah. Congratulations to Tyler Hero winning the 3-point shootout. The actual,
by the way, doing a photo shoot on a private jet because you won the 3-point contest at All-Star is hilarious.
What about him having a press conference today at a Raising Cane's? I like that. That's kind of I
like that a lot. Raising Cane's is low key, kind of plugged into the NBA.
That sort of balances out private jet on the one hand.
That's kind of cool.
Photo shoot now, the Raising Cane's fast food chicken establishment. The actual All-Star format, and of course, this has gotten a lot of ire from people, and maybe there is something to say that like Kevin Durant's criticisms of the media are valid. Are we fueling these issues? Let's actually talk about that. We. Oh, what do you mean?
It's not we, as in me and you.
We criticize everything.
No. But there's a way to do it, and there's a way not to do it. I think.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Let's have some cream of wheat worst of week right after this short break. All right, Dave. Cream of wheat worst of week with the NBA All-Star Game and weekend. I'm not objective because I was not pleased with the idea of the new format. I was already outraged when they announced there'd be an on-court MC. And this is nothing specific to Kevin Hart. Just finding out there was going to be an on-court MC for a game you were trying to take seriously, those things are at odds. And then it turned out, okay, the actual format, which frankly was like a multi-tiered, multi-day tournament, because there was 4 Rising Stars there was 3 Rising Stars teams, the 1 G League team, and then the winner of that one got to go to the semifinals on Sunday. So there actually was this serious basketball, and the format did force people to play hard. But TNT, what are you doing? / who thought this whole thing was a good idea? The most common question that I feel like has come through. I mean, actually, there were a couple of really good conspiracies I feel like that came out of this, but like one conspiracy / question that a lot of people have asked: did TNT tank the broadcast on purpose?
I'll tell you right now that I was told through a source.
Oh,
something I'll never do on the other show. Yeah. But through a source, I was told no. A lot of this stuff, yes, was TNT, but stuff like Mr. Beast that's not a TNT ask. Like TNT isn't saying, hey, we want to put Mr. Beast here, right? Hey, we want to have Kevin Hart on this broadcast.
Right.
TNT, from what I have been told.
I do need to point out, as far as me saying, all right, it's hard for the children to watch the All-Star game because you can't even tell them what the teams are. You're like, oh yeah, that's Team Candace. That's it. Who's on it? Well, just different guys. People. However, Mr. Beast's segment, amazing for the children. They were thrilled with that. Also, Dave, and also I know how you and I feel about a lot of things in the world.
Yeah.
The whole like, we've had this multiple times now. Any competition, any like half court thing, anything involving players and citizens, just regular people, where it's you either win or the money goes to charity, do both. What's wrong with you monsters?
Right.
Like, why is there money? Why is the amount of money going to a charity up in the air? That's disgusting. Also, it seems so much like one of those memes of, is it, I don't know if it's like a Joe Rogan. There's like a lady, like a North Korea. It's this meme about in America, this is wrong. And literally this one was, in America, if you want to go to college, you have to beat Damian Lillard in the 3-point contest before the NBA throws it to commercial, and then Mr. Beast will give you money to go to college. Like that.
While Mr. Beast is trying to mount you like a backpack.
I thought Mr. Beast, though, was he not doing the basketball psych out, the whammy, he was talking to Damian Lillard? He's like, Damian Lillard's the most clutch shooter ever. He won't miss. Oh, he missed again. I felt like Mr. Beast. So I had a different interpretation than a lot of people. I felt like he was psyching out Damian Lillard by building him up before every shot.
I felt like it was the other way. Damian Lillard actually stepped up and kind of boxed out Mr. Beast so that the other guy could shoot.
Oh, there we go.
I don't think Dame was trying to hit shots after he made one.
You think he was trying to miss a little bit for the drama?
Yeah, but also, I mean, listen, hey, let's pit millionaire professional athletes in their sport against just some random guy out of the crowd for money.
Yeah.
Let's do boxing next, Keith.
But literally,
what if we do that with MMA? Let's do that. John Jones, if you beat John Jones, you get to go to college.
I talk a lot about, how, like, obviously I'm a podcaster. And you're a podcaster. And then sometimes I see people who are on television or on radio, and I'm like, they're way better at this than I am. Like Max Kellerman, much better at talking than I am. And then you see like Mr. Beast, and you're like, oh yeah, you're a YouTuber. Yeah, you're a YouTuber. You're not a television person. You're a YouTuber. But I did think it was funny when he was trying to hype up the guy. He's like, if you win $100,000, what do you do? And the guy was like, save it.
Help my family.
Try to help my family. Maybe go to college. It's like America, baby. What a
NBA had to hate that, because what they really wanted was him to be like, oh, I'm going to buy another Maybach. I mean, Adam Silver just was on TV, talking about how they're this lifestyle brand and all these things. And then they rub our face in their money all weekend. So, the Mr. Beast thing to me was one of the more distasteful ways in which the NBA has rubbed money in.
Also, they're like jumping the money. Yeah, it's just weird, man.
Nah, man, that's not for me, buddy. I don't think we're gonna have stuff like that in a few years, Keith.
I think they are, because that right there is like the stuff that they're pushing on socials, and that's the stuff that gets the biggest views on social media, and that's what Adam Silver's going to point to when we criticize the fact that there was, there's less than one half of actual basketball during the All-Star tournament. And he's like, well, we got 20 million views on Mr. Beast.
Can we talk about inside the NBA? Since we're talking about the worst things.
Yeah, let's do the inside. Then we get into the game. There's stuff about the game too. I'm curious. But what inside the NBA?
I don't watch that show all that often, you know, and I never have, because I'm not that type of sports fan, right? Mm-hmm. I watch the sport. I care about the ball going through the hoop, and that's it. Unless you're really adding something, I don't need to hear what you got to say. Those guys haven't really added anything to the conversation, in my opinion, ever. It's funny because they're like goofy. It's not funny because it's good. So we turned it into this thing where it's become a quote, like, cultural part of the NBA. And this was like the grossest example of that. Yeah. Which they're still going to be doing games, man. Like, they're not going away. If they were going away and I was like, hey, this is the last time I have to think about this whole thing, great. But they're not. And so they just disrupted what was a pretty fun afternoon outside of the Mr. Beast thing. But the basketball was fun. And then they interrupted it for this weird.
It was longer than the game itself.
Masturbatory.
It was 10 minutes. And we're the wrong guys to talk about this specifically, because it just so happens neither you nor me are huge inside the NBA fans, where it's like, when the game's over, I watch movies. I don't leave inside the NBA.
Look, man, they sat and dumped on the product. Like, they dumped on the basketball, they dumped on the players, they dumped on the format, they dumped on the young guys, they dumped on the dunk contest, they dumped on everything the entire weekend. And then I'm supposed to say, oh, hey,
Yeah.
All right, guys. Yeah, we love you. No, we don't, man. I'm tired of these guys. It must be nice to be able to sit on TV and be cranky. Like,
Here's
it's just weird to me. It's supposed to be a celebratory weekend.
so the way that the TNT people have become so integral, I think for me shows itself in the strangest way, just with the team names. I can't get over that the all-star teams were called Team Kenny, Team Chuck. I can't get over when you look at Basketball Reference and it's like you see the 50-year history of the all-star games. Then it's like East, West, East, West, East, West. And then it starts going Team LeBron, Team Giannis, Team Steph, and then finally a East, West. And then now at the very end, it says, what is this?
It's the self-absorbed era of the NBA.
It's the last one. Team
Society.
Shaq 41, Team Chuck 25. When the historians go back and look and they're like, hey, what happened? Was that when the war? They're like, oh, that was before the war. That's before the war broke out. It was Team Shaq 41, Team Chuck 25. Also, by the way, I don't think Basketball Reference right now knows what to do with the stats.
Oh, because these count toward people's career stats because they have career all-star stats. Which is also weird.
Does Zach Edey and Jalen Wells both have 2 all-star game points?
I guess.
Do the semis count? Because they don't, like, if you were not an all-star, can you compile all-star game points?
It's not an all-star. Now it's not an appearance anymore. It's an all-star selection, right? Because appearing in the all-star game doesn't necessarily mean that you were an all-star, which is actually one thing that Draymond, I think he was a little salty about it, a little too salty, but he was right about.
He's right.
He is right about that.
So here's another. So one conspiracy was like, did TNT blow this broadcast on purpose to maybe make to be, because they're spiteful about losing the product. Another one that I kind of liked was, did LeBron refuse to play because he's like, I'm not playing rookies. I'm not risking that. Also, one of the biggest issues with the format, I mean, of course, the games are too short. That like a game to 40 is nothing. Literally, like if you're a Pistons fan watching Cade Cunningham, what did he play? 4 minutes or something. Like Alperen Sengun played 4 minutes. Jaren Jackson Jr., played like 8 minutes. Like that's all you got. Like without exaggeration, they literally played.
Let's say 30 minutes and 30 seconds. Of basketball.
Let's generously call it one half of basketball. Let's say it was about one half of basketball. That's one half of basketball, not even split between 24 all-stars. No. It was split between 24 all-stars minus LeBron, minus AD, then also 8 rookies and sophomores. So it's one half of basketball split between 30 players. But also, because the games are so short, that lends itself to upsets. That gives whoever comes out of the G League Rising Stars game the best possible chance at an upset. And you felt like that showdown was good. Delta Connect making shots. It was close. But I think Kevin Durant was taking that game seriously. Jason Tatum was taking that game seriously, but it was close because you're essentially playing a game to 15 by ones. Right. It's a very short game. Like you're saying,
these are NBA players, and by the way, they weren't playing like lockdown defense either.
But they were kind of trying.
They were trying.
And the whole idea is, listen, for the All-Star Sunday night, you're going to play one quarter against the rookie sophomore team, and you have to win that one quarter. If you didn't want an upset, you make it much longer. So like the conspiracy, LeBron said, wait, what? No, I'm not playing. Like you're setting us up to fail, and I'm sympathetic to that. This setup format was made for upsets. One game to 40? I don't like it. By the way, I've reached out to Basketball Reference. I'm a Basketball Reference brand ambassador because I'm looking right now and I'm trying to find out, hey, like the All-Star stats have not been added yet on Basketball Reference. And I want to know, like, hey, I've actually asked them. I don't have an answer, unfortunately. They said they're looking into it. Because I was like, hey, does Jalen Wells have all-star game points? Has the league provided any guidance for like the all-time scorekeeping, because we have the all-time, most points in All-Star game history. We have all these records that we're keeping up with. And like, did any of that matter? Because we have Team Chuck. Also, how did Amin Thompson get in the game? Amin Thompson's team lost to the G Leaguers. And I know I can find this answer, but I've refused to find it. I'm just bringing it up to you because I don't even know how.
No idea.
Because he was not on the team that had Jalen Wilson, Zach Edey. Like the Thompson twins, they lost to the G Leaguers because their team had no shooting. It was kind of funny. But I was like, wait, now I'm in Thompson. Like, did Team Candace get to draft like one guy or something off of the team?
Maybe an injury replacement or something.
Maybe they didn't even care.
I don't know.
Overall, like, again, the basketball was good.
Yeah.
The whole, like, here's a 12-minute game and broken up by 3.5-minute commercial breaks. And then we had the Mr. Beast thing for 8 minutes. Then it was another 12-minute game. And then you had, all right, In Vogue performed. That was awesome. Who cares? It's an all-star game.
That was awesome.
And then,
thank you.
But then, like, we have these, like, again, they're 7 commercial breaks. Like, we're getting a full 3.5 minutes on every break. The game would go for 3 minutes. They'd have a 3.5-minute break. And then to come back and find out there's a sketch involving the TNT guy. That's where I'm like texting the listener Slack. I'm like, this is psychotic. Like, what is happening? And like, also not even mentioning the fact that there was an MC, but also that Kevin Hart was not good at it. But like, the arena sounded dead. I mean, of course, because it's partially empty at times. Also, it's a corporate event. But like him talking trash to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it was cringe level for the broadcast. Maybe the NBA players think it's funny. Maybe they don't care.
No, I don't think they did, honestly. And in Shai in particular looked very annoyed at the entire thing. And I just don't understand what you're trying to do. Like, what is the point?
Yeah.
What is the point? What's the point?
I just want to know.
We got more Kevin Hart than basketball, Keith.
We literally did. I was trying to time it. I got tired of it. Became the overwhelming story, and everyone else was taking the lead on tracking the time of basketball versus everything else.
Yeah.
But literally, the one stat I wanted was actual time on the basketball court between Ernie Johnson and the guys who made the All-Star game. They act like, like I know Ernie Johnson stood on the court longer than Jaren Jackson Jr. did.
For sure.
And it's like, why can't you just let him play basketball? And I think beforehand, Dave, we both said there's not really a fix. You just play East versus West and you get what you get. That's been my opinion. Yeah. You get what you get. Like,
the thing is, competitive is not the goal. Fun is the goal. Why couldn't you just make the All-Star game? Do the rock and jock format. Put a 25-foot hoop. Put a 5-point shot, and just say, look, guys, hey, go try hard-ish and have fun. Mic up some guys, do whatever. Just
apparently guys were mic'd up, Dave. They didn't even use it, or maybe they're going to use it for social media stuff later.
Probably. It's probably going to be used for some documentary.
So
and I'm not going to watch.
I even disagree with you. Like, I don't want any of those frills. I want just a basketball game.
Sure.
If it becomes ridiculous,
if you want to make changes,
okay. Yeah.
Do it in an arcadey way, right? Like, there's a way to make it, okay, this is going to be more fun. Like the Nickelodeon stuff that they did with the NFL. You don't have to do that. But you could make the game, like, put fun stuff on the court. The players would get into it. I just think you can make it fun and make it a little bit more of like an extravaganza of a game versus this is obviously, this stuff wasn't for kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No one's out there like, oh, look at that. They gave Charles Barkley fishing gear.
Right.
What's his YouTube channel?
That's for children. Children find fishing gear hilarious.
They love it. They love it. I mean, it also started at what, 8:30 Eastern?
Yeah, it said the All-Star game was on at 8. No, it tipped off at 8:40.
Yeah, that's it.
And then again, there was a 15-minute basketball game that had 6 minutes of commercials.
All these changes they want
let's
to
hit
make,
some.
just start on time.
We answered most of these things, but we got to give our Patreon supporters a shout out. So I'm going to read a couple of listener submitted questions. These are the croissant questioner.
To finish that croissant.
Magnus, we already answered this. Magnus asked, did TNT tank the All-Star Game presentation intentionally? What do you get out of that?
They tanked it, but I don't know if
they tanked, but it wasn't on purpose. Caleb wants to know. It's a good question from Caleb. Do you value first dunk attempt execution or dunk greatness more?
For me, it's first dunk. Once you've attempted something crazy and I just kind of see what you're going to do.
Yes.
I don't know. Feels like you're going to do it until you get it. I'm assuming you've done it before.
Yeah.
But if you get it that first time, it's almost like a knockout. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Absolutely. It's not all or nothing. Like if he's picking, do I want greatness or first dunk execution? Yeah. I think there's probably a degree where the greatness can overcome something where you're like, oh, what? Like, honestly, when Stephen Castle pulled off that, get the rebound where the ball's going through the net after the layup and dunked it, I said, oh, okay. Because I sat there for 40 seconds thinking like, there's just no way, Okay. So then when he did it, that was pretty great. But when there's a spectrum on it, like 80% of the battle might be just executing it the first time. We were like, you did it. You did something creative, interesting, and difficult, and you nailed it the first time. That for me is always going to be like the bang, give him a 50. Don't even worry about it. Like it's really hard to get a 50 after you tried something multiple times. I feel like.
Right. That's the thing is there's a bias, but like if Michael Jordan had gone down to the other basket, sprinted to the free throw line and not made the dunk on it wouldn't have been the same. Not
as exciting.
Maybe we don't get come fly with me. Do you know what I mean?
Do we believe any of the guys who are talking now about maybe getting inspired? I don't believe any of them.
I don't believe the dunk contest. I don't believe one-on-one. I don't believe anything.
So we have Ja Morant saying, all right, now I'm going to do it, which frankly, we always say there's no upside for guys risking one losing to like, even if it's not Matt McClung, losing to Modest Puzelos or Andre Jackson. But it does seem like Ja could have, not for any of his like off-court behavior, but I'm saying like a redemption as far as becoming back in the primary in the public spotlight. Although he's still, social media views and or jersey sales, Ja's still like a top 5 guy. So, but yeah, I can see that. But like Zach Levine, Aaron Gordon talking about it, Giannis talking about it. I'm with you. I'm skeptical. They're not actually going to do it. They're just talking.
Also,
on a Sunday night.
You think Giannis is who you want to see in a dunk contest? Not me.
It's so hard for the tall guys.
Yeah. If Giannis is going to dunk from the top of the key,
now we're talking.
I'm in. Wemby, come on. Give me
I want
to see that.
I want a Wemby versus Giannis legal basketball play. How far back can you dunk? Like you start on the opposite baseline, one dribble, gather 2 steps, dunk. Can they do it? I think maybe. Like that's what I want to see.
Giannis has a really good push dribble.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think he could.
Yeah. No, I'm on text threads where people argue about Giannis highlights, whether it's a travel or not. And I'm like, listen, I think he batted the ball forward, which is not a dribble. So he's then allowed to pick it up. And then he took a step and then he released the dribble. And then it's a gather. Yeah, that's legal. Like I'm always the one, even though I'm the rules, like normally I'm saying that heck, this is actually travel.
You have to think about
Giannis, like you're like, man, I don't know.
You got to think about like taxes. Some of those steps are deductible.
Yeah. Also everyone's talking about they're willing to do a one-on-one. I don't believe hardly any of them. I believe
Kyrie.
I believe Kyrie.
Kyrie is a secret dog. Like
Jaren said he would, and I actually believe Jaren. I feel like Jaren has very little shot blockers. I think have to get rid of their shame sometimes because they're like, I'm going to get dunked on. So like, I feel like he would try it.
Yeah. Maybe they'll do it. They'll probably just do it on their own though.
Anyways, thanks for the questions, guys. Thanks to everybody who hung out in the Slack channel during All-Star Weekend. A lot of fun content going on over there. Also, during the break on Monday and Tuesday, it got weird in there. We need basketball back very, very badly. Anyways, if you want to join the Slack, if you want to have your listener question answered, you got to be a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. All right, Dave, it's now time for the awards segment of the program, the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award, given to the worst performance in a box score. The All-Star games weren't long enough for anyone to miss a bunch of shots, so nothing from there. But we do actually have a few games, regular season games, that happened after last week's episode that we get to, and we have some doozies to talk about. So, our honorable mentions. Jaden Hardy, 0 for 8. Kobe White, 2 for 13. Trey Murphy, 4 for 17. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, 6 for 21 in a rare Thunder loss. We have 3 nominees from just a few days last week. Anthony Edwards was 10 for 33 with 28 points. There's a lot of points, but 10 for 33. This isn't a loss to the Bucks, a close loss. 10 for 33, 28 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, 0 personal fouls. Perhaps try.
Wow.
Kobe White in another game in a loss to the Pistons. Kobe, 2 for 14, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers, 1 personal foul. That was the game where Arturas Karnisovas is like, all right, we got to see what we have for the next 30 games after not trading guys to the trade deadline. And then they fell behind. Was it 65 to 23 or something like that? They fell behind by
29 points in the first half.
So Kobe White in that game was 2 for 14. And then Miles Bridges in a loss.
They started 0 for 20 as a team from 3.
Yeah, they missed their first 23-pointer.
Yeah.
We had some doozies. Also, we had that Bulls game against the Thunder.
Yeah.
The Heat. I'm sorry, the Heat against the Thunder. The Heat got outscored 24-0 to start the fourth quarter. Incredible stuff. Our third nominee was Miles Bridges in the loss to the Magic. He was 6 for 23, 19 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 0 personal fouls. Perhaps try, guys. We got 23 shots, no fouls from Miles Bridges, 33 shots, no fouls from Ant Edwards. So anyways, our 3 nominees, Dave, 10 for 33, 28 points for Ant, 2 for 14, 7 points for Kobe White, 6 for 23, 19 points for Miles Bridges.
I'm going to go Kobe White.
Yeah, even though it doesn't have the volume, a real horrible game. Congratulations, Kobe White.
That game was awful.
Yeah.
I tuned in when I saw how bad the first quarter started out for them.
Yeah.
And I stuck around until they made a 3, thinking, hey, it'll happen any moment now.
So Kobe White in back-to-back losses to the Pistons on back-to-back days, Tuesday and Wednesday of last week, he went 2 for 13 and then 2 for 14. Kobe has the opportunity on Thursday to be the first player in NBA history with 3 straight games with at least 12 field goal attempts, shooting under 16%. There's Keith's cherry pick stat of the day.
Brought to you by Basketball Reference.
Who is looking into it to figure out what they're supposed to do with the All-Star game stats that they haven't yet added to their comprehensive database of the league. I mean, how many we now have the play-in, not the in-season tournament final. Those stats don't exist. We have the play-in stats, which finally exist somewhere, but we're still not sure where to put them. Now we have the All-Star tournament. What do I do with those stats? Good job, MB. Keep it up, Adam Silver. I don't mind the tournaments, by the way. I saw there was someone said, random NBA executive says Adam Silver's is too obsessed with tournaments. It doesn't help the game. I disagree, man. I think the in-season tournament has helped tanking. I think it's helped the league get eyeballs and excitement on the end of the year. I think the in-season tournament, the NBA Cup, it's just added a little bit of juice to an otherwise dead time. I got no downsides. There's tweaks I like. I hate the stupid, colorful basketball courts that make my eyes hurt, but I think that's been good. This got the players to play hard, even if I think it was super unfair to the All-Stars to play very limited minutes. It was super unfair to the fans. Can you imagine buying a ticket to that? I mean, I know they don't sell that many tickets, but can you imagine shelling out the money to go to that and being like, we got less than a half of basketball?
Could the NBA get hit with a class action lawsuit?
I mean, we have become too litigious as a society. However, Dave, I think yes, probably so. Also, by the way, this is a random thing. Anthony Edwards, his 10 for 33 is super rarefied air. But I got obsessed with this. 30 field goal attempts without committing a foul. And then if you filter it based on who had a horrible shooting night, there have only been 11 players in NBA history who have taken 30 field goal attempts in a game, made 10 or fewer, and also committed no fouls. And it is like the greatest collection of chuckers of all time. Stackhouse is on there. Iverson, Kobe, Dominique Wilkins. Wow. Just the rare guys with the full green lights. And of course, our guy, Joe Fulks, although he usually fouled a lot. Shout out jumping Joe Fulks. Par fadeaway, Dave, looking ahead. As the season resumes, of course, we had this exciting Dalton Connect, Mark Williams showdown game. But also there's been some free agent movement. I feel like the Markelle Fultz to the Kings thing. Doesn't that seem like the perfect fit? I mean, like once you lost De'Aaron Fox, they don't have a backup ball handler. I mean, of course, Davion Mitchell previously traded already. Like they don't just have a guy, who you think of as a guard to handle. They've been splitting it between Monk and Levine. I think it on paper seems like a perfect fit for Fultz to get back in the NBA. That part I think is super exciting. The Lonnie Walker to the Sixers, Sixers are done. I think.
They're done. I honestly, I will say this. I'm a little bit surprised we didn't get some kind of an Embiid shutdown over All-Star weekend. We did start getting the stories. Hey, Paul George is more banged up than anybody. No, you know what I mean?
If you're Paul George, you got to put that out there because with how bad you've been, the 2-point game. I just
don't even know what is the point for Philly now?
To protect that draft pick, their odds of hitting a top 6 protected pick, your odds are minuscule. Not minuscule, but like even if you tanked out, you still it's like a coin flip. You get to keep your pick. So I understand going for it. Also, Dave, kudos to us last week saying like the Nets are going to be a problem. They might have to take extraordinary measures to miss the play-in because they're better than the Sixers and the Bulls right now. Like they have more talent post trade deadline. They ended up with a more talented team than they started the season with.
Cam Johnson's gonna be moved to the coaching staff.
They're already playing Cam like 25 minutes. Or it's like, I don't know what they're supposed to do there. I will say last thing, Dave. I try to do my secret power rankings. And as we hit the final stretch, do you agree we have 3 main title contenders where it's the Celtics, the Thunder, and the Cavaliers? I don't put the Knicks in there. Would you put the Knicks or the Nuggets or anybody?
I would put the Nuggets, not the Knicks.
Okay.
I'm back on the Nuggets.
So the Nuggets are a half game behind the Grizzlies now for the 2nd seed. They have just been playing, I call it joyous basketball. Jamal Murray found his groove last week with 55-point game. They're playing Zeke Naji a lot. That's how I know they're having fun. They're finding minutes for Zeke and he's doing fine. Of course, Jokic has played something like hasn't played a 4th quarter minute in like 7 of his last 10. I have the Knicks and Nuggets. That's the top 5. I don't think either team is going to win the title. Knicks maybe getting Mitchell Robinson back very, very soon. The next group, Dave, I think 8 teams that frankly, I don't think are that good, but things could work out for them. Yeah. You can get a few breaks and all of a sudden you're in the conference finals. And that's where I put my team, the Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies, the Lakers, the Rockets, the Clippers, the Timberwolves, Pacers, Bucks, and even Mavericks. Things could go right, I guess. I don't love any
Mavericks need health stuff. If the Mavericks get healthy, then I think I have them up. I think, I liked the Mavericks before the trade. Once they got healthy, I thought that they had as good a shot as anybody coming out of the West. But even after the trade, and especially when you look at how good Max Christie has looked out there, Kyrie's had an awesome year.
Kyrie's been amazing this year.
Anthony Davis, when he's been healthy this year as an individual defender, has been awesome. And I actually feel like the Mavericks were a little bit scary to come out of the West. I just don't know how they overcome this.
Because AD is several weeks away. Is that still right? Do we think?
Well, that's what we know now.
Okay.
Remember, this is a re-injury of an injury that he maybe came back too early from.
Yep.
So I don't know what we do there.
I did not include the Warriors in that group. Is that An oversight? I
don't know, man.
I think they're as competitive. I feel like where these teams, I'm like, all right, a twisted ankle for someone on your opponent, you could end up in the conference finals. I feel like it's going to take multiple things, even if they are friskier, tougher, better with Jimmy Butler.
Can Draymond Green get the Oklahoma City Thunder basketball team arrested? Right? Like that would help the Warriors.
The Kings and the Suns and the Pistons and the Magic. Sorry. You're kind of my, that's where I have now.
Orlando is,
I don't know.
People start paying. Look, nobody's really paying attention to Orlando this year because, obviously they've been hurt a lot. And then, but I'll tell you, they really miss Jalen Suggs.
Yeah.
Paolo stock is dropping.
That's my top 18 teams. And then I have this cutesy play in, but you're not good at all. That's the Heat, the Spurs, and the Hawks. And then I guess the 76ers. I have them 22nd in my.
The Heat might wind up with a really great defense once they integrate these guys fully. And offensively, I think what Wiggins does complements Tyler Hero a little bit better. I might be in on the Heat.
So I'm in on the Heat, but only because they're like the all podcaster team right now. They're the kind of guy where I'm like, I truly believe in my heart of hearts, and it takes like discipline never to say it, but I'm gonna say it now. Like I truly believe things like, oh, you give Spoelstra, Alec Burks, and Kyle Anderson. Oh yeah, you're gonna win some ball games. Yeah. Even though they did not win ball games before the All-Star break because they were horrible in fourth quarters.
Yeah.
The Nets and Trailblazers still intriguing, playing good basketball.
Yeah.
Beyond that,
Thinking Basketball did a Tumani Kamara video, right? Like you know stuff is happening in Portland when Ben breaks out a video on a guy.
That's great. And then the bottom trash teams, I got Raptors and Bulls, Pelicans, then the humiliating teams, Hornets, Jazz, Wizards. If you read all those names off in order, that's how I view the league. Anything like, are there any other? Is there a pushback? Is there optimism for anything else that I miss?
Not really. No, yeah. I feel like we're getting into the point where we kind of know who's who. And now it's just who's going to be healthy.
Like, I feel like I have a weird amount of faith in the Timberwolves, even though they still can't string together. None. They can't string together like a week of being good.
Can they do 3 games? So
when I say I have a weird amount of faith, when I literally try to rank the teams in order, I end up putting them 10th. Just I'm like, am I going to put the Pacers over them? It's like, maybe. Nah. Pacers could be better. Am I going to put the Bucks or the Mavericks or the Kings? It's like, I think I trust the Timberwolves in a series, but maybe I'm just, again, I would like to emphasize my 7 through 15, 16 teams. They're all the same. I don't, who made 17 threes in this game? That's the team that won. Anyways, thanks for hanging out, Dave. Listeners, you guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
Yeah, never apologize for being G&G. Fastbreak, man. You understand?